Hiya.
Oh, I didn't
We
think we were
had a
going to
bit
come
of
on
a
then,
delay
Gloria.
there, didn't we? Hi, and welcome everybody. A new time today, 6 p.m. UK time. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm good. How are yourself? It's about
I'm
straight.
not too
Good
bad.
evening.
Very excited for our guest tonight. We'll go there in a second. Have you had a busy week?
I have been working.
Working really
On,
hard.
working hard.
Working hard. Have
And
you
then
got used to? I'm just about getting used to doing the show on a Sunday instead of a Saturday. Good evening, everybody joining us live. Good evening. Good evening. Also, we are live on YouTube simultaneously. I can't believe I got that word out. So please share our links everywhere and like our links. Good evening. Oh, we've just been called Mrs. Gloria
and Mr.
and
Chris.
Mrs. Chris. I'm going to divorce him. He's a bad co-host.
That's funny, that Gloria, because I went to Cyprus and they have the entertainment reps and they just go, come on, Mr. Chris.
Well, no, I'm definitely divorcing him because he's just, taking him back. I'm going back on eBay. I'm going to put him for another husband. Anyway, on that note, Chris Shearer, tonight we are honoured and privileged to have an amazing lady called Sonja Grace, and those that know me know I have the auto cue. Sonja is an award-winning author, mystic healer, and she is an energy surgeon who works long distance with clients around the world. Sonja has appeared on GAIA TV's Great Minds, Ancient Civilizations, and Beyond Belief with the lovely George Noory. I followed him for years, and Coast to Coast AM. Sonja will share with us her in-depth understanding of the cosmic connection between humans, aliens, and demigods, and her encounters with the unseen world. On that note, Chris, can you bring Sonja out of the naughty room, please?
Certainly will. Hello,
Welcome.
Sonja.
Hi. So happy to be here. I'm so honored that you asked me on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for accepting our invitation. So, Sonja, I mean, I've said to you off camera before, we couldn't get into everything that you do. It's just amazing. So I'll just start at the beginning and hand it to you. The show's about every individual spiritual journey to where they've come and their contribution as we go to the collective. So in your case, where did the spiritual journey begin and where has it led you to and the understanding of, please?
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I was born this way. I was born with the ability to see, hear, feel, smell, and weirdly taste everything in the unseen world. I see all levels of the unseen world. I see angels. I communicate with them, demi-gods, all the way down through, aliens, entities, and I clear demons and all kinds of really gnarly stuff off of people all day long. So in that ability as a child, you can imagine how kind of like out there I was. And
weird.
I was fortunate to grow up on a farm, so I had nature to nurture me. And, I was communicating with the Davic realm, seeing all the spirits of the trees and the plants. And, it was like, it was an incredible time. But my poor mother didn't know how to manage this with me. So she put me in ballet class. And really, it was ballet that taught me the discipline. I went on to dance professionally as a classical ballerina. I spent 10 years with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And I was, I was sort of getting to relive a whole lot of lifetimes and even put the costume on to have this incredible reset, reconnection. Oh yeah, been there, did that. Oh yeah, I remember that. And what was hard for me was I would be ready to, go on stage and, I've got so many Sinead turns and then a leap or whatever. And the spirits that are in the theater are standing there on the stage looking at me. And I'm like, you better get out of the way. And so I was seeing all these things and having to, maneuver in this world. So I was born this way. I've always been a healer all my lifetime, some form of mystic healer. I came through during Atlantis around 14,900 BC, and hi, Kitty. And
yeah,
and I've always my guides who are high angelic beings. They've always been with me through all my lifetimes. So this is kind of my karma. Everybody has their karma. Everybody has their own path that they have to work through. This is my stuff that I have to work through. And being a mystic is not easy. I have lifetimes of being persecuted and burned at the stake and killed for it and blah, blah,
yeah.
So it is par for the course. And as I have developed, I've been doing healing work for 40 years, despite the fact that I'm only 24 years old.
Well, I was gonna say around 21 actually. I was thinking 21, but there you go.
Oh, you're so funny. Anyways, I've been working for so long, and over the course of time, because I work long distance with people all over the world, I repair hearts and livers and spleens. I work on cancers, lungs, disease. I work on everything. I have the ability to defy time and space, which takes us back to my ballet training and being a dancer and learning at a very young, formidable age that you can actually do more turns in the count of 8 than the choreographer's telling you. And you learn how to shift time and space by moving your physical body. So in that process and working long distance with clients, I am literally putting myself in front of people all over the world and working on them and repairing heart, doing the equivalency of a triple bypass, that kind of thing.
Could I define that then as, or do you have the correct definition? I define that as bilocating. Is it bilocating consciousness?
Okay, so let me answer that in this way. When I do this, like when I spirit travel, my experience is really different than, say, astral projection. Okay, I go into meditation, my body dissolves. It completely dissolves into like little particles that just go into everything in the room. And then it's not until then, when I spirit travel, that my guides hold out their hand and say, okay, now you're ready to go. And we go. I only spirit travel with them. I never go by myself. I'm never, like, oh, hey, I think I'll go to Egypt today. No, I only go where they tell me it's okay to go and where they lead me. So when I'm working on people, it's sort of a mini version of that. Of course, I have the appointment with the person, so I know I'm going to Australia and I'm going to work on their lungs, whatever the case is. And I've been doing this for so long, it's sort of automatic. So I don't know how to answer your question other than through that thread.
No, that was a wonderful answer. I've got to ask, because I've never let Chris in. Chris, do you have a question? Are you as gobsmacked as I am? It's wonderful.
It's amazing. It's awesome. Obviously, I know a little bit about healing, but mine's more Reiki side, to be honest with you, Sonja. But the psychic surgery aspect, I think, is what you're touching on. But you do it as a traveling, don't you? I just find it fascinating how you go to them, leave yourself consciously and go to them and do the work. Because I know you touched on, what was it before, astral projection. But sometimes when you do the psychic surgery, you go into the auric field, don't you, and you alter the energy and release and take out what's not needed. Is that similar to what you're doing when you're doing this type of work?
I work in the field, so I work in all 7 layers of the field, but I also go into the physical body and I repair tissue. I put a screen in and stitch up a hernia. I'm literally doing surgery on someone on an energetic level. Now, it's what the thing your listeners should understand is every time I work on someone, that energy of what I'm doing has to pass through their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. So it's up to them to also be not only open, but to be acknowledging that all illness and disease is actually an emotional component that's stuck in the body. So if there's issues with the lung, of course, we all know lungs represent grief and, grieving something or having deep sorrow and sadness. So is that client actually dealing with that grief, or are they calling me and saying, I just want you to fix me?
No, I hear you.
Which doesn't always work.
It doesn't
right?
work. It doesn't. I have seen many live videos. I think it was I can't remember the name, Japan or China, and you can see the surgeons outside, energy, but working, and while they're scanning this huge tumor. However, just like you said, the recipient of this healing had to be open, had to eat certain things, there was conditions that the individual person needed to reach to for it to work, and she had. And it was like, people say, oh, that can't be true. I've witnessed this live, and they've been scanning the body while the healers have been working, and I'm going, wow. So this, let's hope in the next couple of years it's something that will just collectively go out to everybody, that the healing can go.
I am a huge fan of homeopathy, acupuncture, naturopathic medicine, herbology, all of it. And I recommend all of it to my clients. I also recommend to my clients, go get a scan and then come back to me. I want them to know what they're dealing with from that Western medicine mindset. Even though I'm seeing it, I'm working on it, I would much rather them come to me with that information, and the more information, the better. Because if I find out that there's a problem with the red blood cells, I'm going to go in and work on the bone marrow. But I need to know what that blood work is. It's like the more information, the better. And I'm not a fan of, especially after 40 years of this, I'm not a fan of somebody calling me and wanting to somehow test me. It's like, I don't have time. I am so busy. I am almost booked through the end of this year. I am so busy. It's crazy. And it's like, let's just get to what needs to be done. And I feel that way about life right now. We don't have time. We need to get to the things that need to be done. And it's really about, and please hear me, audience, when I say this, it's about the inner work. It's about going in and understanding what your emotional wounds are and getting at that stuff, no matter how painful it is, and excavating that out of the body so you're not creating illness.
Absolutely. I know, absolutely. Right, we've covered that really well. So we've got so many topics this evening. So that it leads me into the next question, which when I heard you on GAIA, oh my gosh. And they did as they do, they had to do a reenactment representation of what you were, narrating. Your spirit travels to the sacred sites of Mother Earth. And I got to ask, because we're in UK, have your guides taken you to Stonehenge or any of our other sites here?
Absolutely. In fact, in my book called Spirit Traveler, which is available through Findhorn Press, that's my publisher, and Inner Traditions, I have a whole chapter on Stonehenge, and my guides did take me there. I am of the experience, because they took me back. And I'm going to talk about Stonehenge, but I'm going to talk about what happened. So
Okay.
what I was shown is roughly around 12,800 BC, comets hit the Earth, and about the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria, these huge civilizations. Aztlan, everything went into the water. There was flooding, there were earthquakes, there was chaos for thousands of years. The Earth did her thing, including an ice age. So roughly around 10,000 BC, we had the Earth signal the heavens, and these huge portals opened up all over the planet. Just like what's happening right now, there's portals opening up all over the planet. And this is the signal to the demigods that we're ready to create a new phase of humanity. So that phase had ended. Now this new phase has begun. All of us came through at the end of Atlantis and Lemuria. And now we're coming as a soul group to the end of this phase of humanity, which is why we're all feeling this, anxiousness and this, oh my God, it's going to happen. And I know something's going to happen. And, everybody's kind of squirrely because we've been here and we've experienced this before. So the portals opened up. Egyptian gods came through, the Hopi gods, the Mayan gods, the Greek gods, the Tibetan god, all these demigods came through. And part of that group are the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians are demigods. They're not aliens, they're demigods. Okay. And so the Pleiadians came through, and they're the ones that came to me when I stood at Stonehenge before anything was on Salisbury Plain. And they showed me all the different things that happened over thousands of years that then led them to place and put those stones in place, because it was their last message to the people. We will always be here. We are with you, but we aren't coming back for a while. That's what those stones were placed for, to remind the people, because my God, they're magnificent, right? They're ginormous. Yeah. This is our last statement to humanity. We are always with you. We will be back. Stonehenge, all those stone circles throughout Europe, those are portals. And the energy coming through those portals, like Stonehenge, is both receiving energy from the cosmos, and the Earth is releasing energy up. And that's how they were coming through to the people. I went to Swinside there in the UK. That is only receiving cosmic energy. I have never been so high in my life as standing in that circle. Seriously, it was like mind-blowing. We were all completely altered. And Swinside, by the way, is where Bifrost is. That's the bridge to Asgard, right there in your country.
Wow. I mean, I just had to get that in because we're in the UK,
Yes,
new knowledge about Stonehenge. However, I think what is hidden will be revealed, and soon the general populace will find out that history isn't quite what we've been told. But moving on from that, so the guide, they've taken you to Egypt. Where else have you gone with the spirit traveling?
Oh, all over. I mean, many, many places, really, most of them sort of known as sacred sites. I think the most interesting travel of late that I had, and I promised you this story, is
yes, you did.
They took me back to 10,000 BC to Egypt. And we went to what is known as Osiris's shaft. And of course, Osiris is the god of the underworld, right? And it was very different than it looks today. Of course, today it's a ruin site, but there was a temple built over it, and there were guards in this temple. And inside the temple, the walls were dark, but they were all in the pictographs and all the the lettering and everything was in gold. It was beautiful. And then there's the shaft, the opening, and these gold ladders that you climbed down into the shaft. Okay. And the first room that you come to, it was all painted in red, again with gold lettering. And Osiris is standing there, and he tells me that when women could not get pregnant, when there was really big fertility issues, and they had gone to Hathor and, you know, all the different demigods for help, they would go to Osiris, to this particular room. And get this was so interesting. One of the high priests would be anointed as the living Osiris. And he would stand in for the god Osiris and impregnate the woman so that she could have a child. Mind blew. I was like, oh my God, they actually would have, you know, a stand-in Osiris who was the living god to help this, you know, this process. So the real Osiris then told me if I wanted to proceed down this into the underworld, I had to go through what they called the 7 deaths. And I looked at my guides like, really? Yeah. Do I have to do that? You know, I was really scared. And they said, yeah, it's okay. And I said, okay. So we crawled down the ladder and went into the next chamber, which has 7 niches with 7 sarcophagi in each niche has a sarcophagi in it. And they opened the lid, you know, it's like one of those, slide the lid over, and they made me get in, and it was red inside, it was red, and they closed the lid, and all of a sudden these demons, really scary, you know, like demons were coming at me. And, you know, I did my thing. I cleared them. I'm like, you're out of here. And I cleared them out. And as soon as I got them out, they opened the lid. They said, okay. And they helped me out. And they took me to the second one and put me in. And this one was orange with gold lining. And this one had all the gods coming to me and telling me that they need the Ankh and the scepter. And, you know, when you're back in time, it's not like your brain is functioning like snapping on real fast. I'm like, Ankh, scepter. And suddenly I was holding them and I handed them to the Egyptian gods, and they nodded and said, okay. And they opened the lid, and then they took me out, took me to the third one, which inside was yellow and gold, closed the lid. And this one was all the gods coming to me saying, who are you? Who are you? And they wanted me to explain who I was. And I kept looking at them and saying, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. And they kept saying, but who are you? We know you're somebody. We know you're on television. We know you've written books. Who are you? And they were very like, on me. I was crying and I just kept saying, I'm nothing, I'm nothing, I'm nothing. And finally I said, I'm nothing enough that the lid opened. And I got out and went into the fourth one. And the fourth one was it was a beautiful green, like an emerald green, almost like, like being in an emerald. And they closed the lid. And then all of the gods were putting gifts in front of me. Oh, we've brought you all this gold, and we've brought you all these beautiful gifts. And I declined all of them. I said, no, I don't want them. I don't want any of that. Oh, we know you want to be rich. We know you want to have these things. No, I don't. I don't want any of them. So the fourth one was about temptation. And I said no. And then they opened the lid, let me out. God, if I didn't pass, would I still be in the sarcophagi? Oh my God.
That's a thought, isn't it?
I know. So then,
Ooh.
then they took me into the fifth one, and this one was indigo. It was a dark indigo, and again they were standing in front of me wanting the truth. This one was about truth. So they were asking me questions to see if I would answer truthfully. And it also had to do with, again, who I was. And so I kept saying, I'm nothing, I'm nobody, I am just I am nothing. And so as they tested me with all of these questions of the truth, I passed, and they opened the lid and took me into the next sarcophagi. The sixth one is it's a light blue color. And I got in, and I'm lying there noticing this beautiful blue color, and all of a sudden the whole thing was on fire.
Oh my
I was
God.
laying in fire, and I had to lay there and tell myself this is just an illusion. It's not real. You're not going to burn up. It's just an illusion. And I was there for a while, and then fire went out. They opened the lid, took me to the seventh one. Inside this one, it was kind of white and crystalline like. And all of a sudden, I mean, I'm a really small person, and these are huge sarcophagi. All of a sudden, this sarcophagi was going up, and I was like sliding to one end and sliding to the other end, going all over the place. And it was crazy because we went up and up and up and up. And where we landed in the middle of the universe, they opened the lid, and I got out, and the ant people, the Savrock, were standing there. It was the center of the universe. And if you've read my book, Spirit Traveler, I talk about the Savrock a lot. So I'll explain that if you want after this. But I'm standing there, and the Savrock say to me, you're again, because I've been there before, you're at the center of the universe. I go, what are you guys doing here? I was all like happy to see them. And they had me step into, again, this milky white substance that's at the center of the universe that is like this incredible, it's like your body just goes into a state of bliss when you step in. It's super, super intense. And they brought me back out. They said, okay, we know you've passed this test, put me back in the sarcophagi. I come back down to earth, boom, land hard. And they take me out, and Osiris says, you passed the 7 deaths. You're now allowed to go into the underworld. And, we went down. There's a 3rd chamber. Other sarcophagi were down there. He told me this is where the high priests were initiated into other realms, other things.
Yeah.
Then we went into this giant room where there was incredible, beautiful gold and statues of all the gods. It was amazing. And they said, you need to leave a gift for the gods and for Osiris for you going through this initiation. I'm like looking through my pockets like, oh no, what do I have? I had a little bit of cornmeal that we use out on reservation for an offering. So I left some cornmeal. And all of a sudden, this loud boom, boom, boom comes marching into the room. It was Sekhmet. And she's asking me, who are you? Why are you here? And so, they talked for me and told her. And she said, fine, then you come with me. So then we went in to a whole nother thing that happened with her. But it was really, I would say of all my spirit travels, that was the most profound.
How do you?
And
I mean, I have heard of things like this. I'm aware. Obviously, I've got a connection to Egypt, so I'm aware of a lot. But I've got to ask, not of your experience, I'm not aware of. I've got to ask, after that experience, how did you integrate that into the 3D? How do you integrate all these experiences when you have to, come back, cook the meals, go do the shopping, pay the bills? How does that work? I mean,
well,
or do you find it so easy?
Creator always helps me in that, you know, I got really sick about a month ago. That's a good reminder of the physical. That's a good reminder. Okay, I'm in a body and I feel really bad. I get it.
Yes.
And you know, and I mean, there's things that happen in my life that are you know, hard, like everybody, you know, and I look at death very differently though than most people. I look at death really differently, but that's why I do what I do, because I'm able to share that and help people to understand it better. So my integration of that is more, you know, this is so hard to say because it's hard to translate this across camera, but I feel really humbled, you know, like I could cry telling you this. I just feel really humbled. And I try to live my life in a really humble way and not sort of go out there with it, but just, you know, it is what it is. I just accept it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, I relate to a lot of it. I've heard similar things, and I'm of a knowing that when I become ill and I go, okay, it's a physical body. This is a human experience, and that's how I deal with my journey. That's it. So I can't say it any other way. You know, it's not as if you don't experience physical illnesses and things like that. So I just wondered out of curiosity.
I think what's really hard for me right now is, okay, I got to explain this, and I'm going to explain it real quick, and then I'm going to expand on that. We're in the fifth dimension. We've been in the fifth dimension since the end of the Mayan calendar in 2012. That's why everybody's experienced such enormous shifts and changes, and the spiritual community is talking about, oh, I'm awake now. It's because we're in a higher vibration, okay? Everybody has to deal with it, and we're all dealing with it in different ways because humans have never been in the fifth dimension. We came through 20 million years ago into the fourth dimension. So this is a new thing for us, for the Earth, for the galaxy, and beyond. This is why all these portals are opening up. This is why there's so much more alien activity going on. And meanwhile, people like me and you and Chris, we are all sort of pioneering and helping people through this shift and this time. But what's happened is because, okay, and this is a big stretch, so everybody open your minds, because we are so addicted to everything: drugs, alcohol, TV, gaming, phones, sex, texting, I mean, you name it, we're addicted. We're addicted to shopping big time because we've all had nothing else to do but get on Amazon. So all of these addictions have also moved into the spiritual world, and people can't get enough of, you know, I got to have this crystal, and I got to read this book, and I've got to look at this, and I've got to open up to this, and suddenly they got a bunch of aliens standing in front of them, and they don't know what to do. Because they don't have guidance, they don't have a teacher, they don't have someone helping them to identify what is what. And so my concern right now is when someone like me or you guys get sick, there is a expectation. Oh, well, your vibration isn't high enough. How could that be? And there's a criticism and a judgment on that. And it's like, my God, look back at past mystics and healers. There's illness, there's disease, there's persecution, there's all, I mean, you know, like we got the big man Jesus to look to for all of us to know, okay, his life wasn't a bowl of cherries, that's for sure.
It was not, no.
No.
I hear you.
So I really want to express to your audience, you know, compassion. You know, have some compassion and love for yourself first and foremost, and then, you know, for the rest of the world, because we're all navigating this for the first time.
Yes, absolutely. Chris, are you burning there with a question? Because I keep,
I'm just
you know what I'm like.
I'm just fascinated listening. So
it's mind blowing, isn't it? It's mind blowing. Okay, so can we come to that leads very nicely actually into that, and we've got a lot more out of that than I hoped we would, but we did. So could you touch upon now, and I'm going back to my auto cue here because I'm a very professional person,
Yes.
Our cosmic connection between us experience being human, the demigods and the encounters and the unseen world, in relation to what's happening now. You actually brought it in just before, as you know, we're waking up, all of a sudden this is happening, we want crystals, and then we got a bunch of aliens all of a sudden in our reality. Now this is a very genuine topic for me because I've just started an experiences group, and I'm now talking, and people are now talking, oh, I see this, oh, I see a grey, and this was never in their reality. Okay,
Right.
And Prince himself has seen reptilians. That's only started the last few months. So we are seeing this surge of, it's one day, it's not in my reality day, but I'm getting a bit more spiritual here and trying to do the good work, you know, to get rid of the judgment, to accelerate, I would say exponentially, in my eyes. It's so accelerated. I have people messaging me, I don't know what to do. I've seen this being. I think it's a grey.
Yeah.
Can you give sort of like a context?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. What's actually happening now, please?
Okay. So everything exists in the unseen world. The thing about aliens is they are so much more advanced than we are. They can take physical form. They can take non-physical form. Okay. So they've been around a lot longer than we have. They're similar to humans in that they have an agenda. When aliens come to people and they put implants in them, or they take tissue samples, or they do some kind of paralysis while you're sleeping so they can transport you to their ship, whatever, there's an agenda. There's an agenda. The ones that don't have an agenda are the angels and the demigods. And I tell all my clients, if you're going to call on anybody to help you, call on the angels. They've never incarnated. They don't have karma. The demigods they're all going to come back through to help us. I created Odin and the 9 Realms Oracle because the Norse gods came to me and said, you need to bring us back. The people need to know we're coming back. Okay, I did that. This is big time. And I think people need to, first of all, learn how to ground their energy, because our energy goes out into other things, right? We watch the television and we see something upsetting, and our energy from our body leaps into the TV. And as a collective, we're doing that. We're all leaping our energy into it. And then we spin the karma wheel one more time because we all just dialed into fear, or we all just dialed into, betrayal, whatever it is, we're doing that. And if we ground our energy, we are connecting it with the earth. We're no longer engaging in that karmic cycle.
Yes.
So we must learn to ground. We must learn discernment, meaning there's a lot of things in the unseen world. There's a lot of aliens that'll tell you whatever you want so that they can get a hold of you and basically have their agenda played out. So, ixnay on the alienays, if you know that language. No to aliens, okay? There may be some good aliens out there, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity from them. I'm seeing a lot of activity from ones that want to come through and basically run the earth the way that they think it should be run, because they don't agree with how we are running the planet. A lot of us don't agree with how we're running the planet, right? So
yeah, I'm looking at, obviously I'm an experiencer. I've never had a bad experience in my life. In fact, I've had healings from cancer. And so I do believe there are, like with humans in other civilizations, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
And I believe what you put your attention, you focus on the positive, you reflect that in your reality. So I think I don't know if you agree,
And
but
I do
my
agree.
group. Yeah.
I do agree with you. And I'm not trying to put some sinister spin on all aliens. I think there's aliens that have come to Earth. I've met some that have come to Earth and imparted their wisdom and knowledge to scientists. And I think that's brilliant. It's the ones like the Greys, the reptilians, that are menacing. They're trying to get a hold of humans. That I don't agree with. Okay. But the thing I want to say is the piece that's hard to understand is we live in an outer measuring system called duality. And we are always going outside of ourselves, even with our energy, to measure this. This is good, or this is bad. This is right, or this is wrong. So if you've got a bunch of people saying, oh, I'm going to be good and I'm going to focus on nothing but goodness, it's still going to cause an imbalance in this balancing act that we do between good and bad and right and wrong. So how do we deal with that? We have to go inside and we have to go into the third place. And that place is inner peace. Inner peace will take you out of duality. It will give you the ability to observe all that is good and bad and not have any judgment on any of it.
There's no judgment. There's no judgment. No.
Right, exactly. And it will free you from this outer measuring system, because we have that measuring system in our soul body. We know good and bad, right and wrong inside of us. It's very important.
I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And I think this is maybe one of the things that's being shared collectively around Earth at the moment. I know it's in our groups, is exactly what you said. It's going within, into that peace, into that, and people think it's very hard. It's quite easy once you go in. It's quite simple once you go in, and then when they go, oh, it's not. Once they go in, they go, wow, it's peaceful. It's this, it's that, and then it starts. It's like, I heard a guy called Muji say one day, once it goes in, it's like a venom. Just let it go, and then the awakening within comes, and you become the observer of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yep. And I think in my case, I think it's like, that's why I have humor, because I know what it is in truth.
Exactly. When I spirit traveled to Malta and I went to Hagar Quim, which is another chapter in the book Spirit Traveler, the goddess who was there, who still takes care of that temple, took me to the back of the temple, and there were 2 rooms. She said, I want you to walk into this room and experience it. And I walked in, and it was total bliss. It was like, it was like being at the center of the universe. There was total bliss. I felt so good. And my guides had to come in and take me, you got to come out of here now. And then she said, now I want you to walk into this room. And it was unbearable. It was every bit of darkness and scary stuff that you could imagine. And I came running out of there screaming. And she said, we maintain the balance here in this temple between what is good and what is bad. We maintain the balance. And humans are out of balance. The earth is out of balance. We have forgotten the cycle of life, birth, life, and death. We're getting so disconnected from what is a natural process of being on Earth, because we think that we can save everybody and save everything and somehow make it all, like we're going to live forever. Ha ha.
I'm dying to ask you, Sonja, for us ones that don't know, what is a demigod? I know I've heard of angels and ascending masters and things like that. I just don't know
the demigods are like the Egyptian gods or the Greek gods or the Tibetan gods. Yeah, those I call them demigods. And they're right up there with the angels. I mean, they're very benevolent beings. Yes.
The other question, why do you feel, because I've had some negative experiences on my journey, like being thrown across the room with the energy that I've been in, being intimidated and things like that. 'Cause I came in on the paranormal side on my mediumship spiritual journey. But why do you think that is then when you touch on that about, is it to do with the balance of cause and effect, or is it to do with learning, understanding energy for a purpose? What energy is, I don't know. I'm asking you because I know you've had some negative.
Right.
We perceive it as negative. I know we perceive it's our perception. It's negative.
What I'm perceiving in this fifth dimension, and what my guides have been telling me for the past 10 years, is duality is splitting apart. We will not have a dualistic experience in the next even 50 years. We will not have that. And so that's why it seems so extreme. I mean, think about the extreme stuff in the world where, you know, this group is going, this is the right way. And this group over here is going, this is the right way. It's so extreme. We're so polarized. We're so split apart. And it's, you know, I had somebody ask me yesterday, what about the golden era? What about all the love and light and stuff that I said to her, we are in the birth canal. This is, you know, we're in a 5-alarm fire. This is serious. We're traveling through the birth canal. It's fraught with all kinds of purifications that we're having to go through before we come to this golden era, this you know, enlightened kind of earth that we're all looking for, that we're all working towards.
I always say I'm not worried about the golden light. I just need to get through this, because it is, you know, me and Chris have had discussions, and the polarities are like so intense. You just know it's more than the norm. You just know, and you're able to switch to go, look at that now, look at that now, you're the observer every single time. At the moment, it's like, is it Ninja's web? It's fractalized, and you're reflecting back and back and back. And you just got to stay, and sometimes you get a bit unstable, you know, the human side, the experience, and then you go, whoop, you go back again. So it's a turmoil, and hence why everyone has noticed how the time-space continuum is collapsing simultaneously as all of this is happening. So, you know, and the dimensions are coming through for those that can see. So,
well, exactly. And being in the fifth dimension, you know, just to add a little Harry Potter here, being in the fifth dimension, it's a train station. It is literally the train station where we're all deciding what kind of consciousness and what kind of energy do we want to live in, which is why you can have your neighbor having a completely different mindset than you do, to the point that you're looking at your neighbor going, what? It's like we're all getting encapsulated in these bubbles, and the bubble is what you believe in. And those bubbles are traveling into different dimensions. And I'm watching it with people all over the world. It's like, okay, there goes that bubble. They're going there. There goes that bubble over there.
I've said it recently. I said it recently to numerous people. That's not my reality no more. I'm here, and it goes. And it's nothing. It's nothing. It's like I know I'm creating. I am the co-creator of my, and it goes. But what I said earlier, it's accelerating recently, exponentially. It's like vroom, vroom. It is as if you could get reality and get your hand and go, whoo, whoo. And other people are speaking of this too. It's like an amazing journey.
It is. I agree with you completely. The place that I'm coming to is it goes back to what I just shared with you about the 7 deaths in Egypt. I keep coming back over and over, almost to the point, you know, like I write a weekly Earth Angel that's free, you know, it's like a message from my guides. And I get to the point where I have nothing to say. I'm literally experiencing the nothing, like I live in a state of nothing.
Yeah.
And I know that what's going on right now, so many people have concerns around the world with what's happening, but I guarantee you this will change. This is not going to be how it is. And even a month from now, we're going to be looking at a completely different story. And a year from now, it's going to have completely shifted and changed.
Yes.
And it's like, that's the one thing in the fifth dimension we can be sure of. It's like this. Everything's changing that fast. Yep.
It is. It is. Yep. And also you can notice more so, even though you do notice the synchronistic events, but it's like, boom, 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 boom. And one synchronistic event comes after the other. You allow it to come, go with that without an outcome. I just go, no outcome, wherever I'm going. And then boom, 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 boom. And you're like, wow, it is. And I think a lot of people have said to me, how will you feel when you wake up and your consciousness awakens to who you truly are? And aren't you going to feel sad about loss? And I say, no, it doesn't happen. Everything dissipates because I can't even explain that part of it.
It's really about being in the moment. What you're describing is arriving to a really experiential moment, this moment. Most people spend their time focused on the past or what's going to come in the future. And that's the beauty of your painting and my painting. And Chris, you probably do things too that brings you into the moment. You have to be present because the paint's drying. You got to move it around.
Exactly. And I must say, from the recent Egyptian collections where I had experiences, and I know one was a spirit travel, is I become fully aware in that experience and knowing of the initiation in Egypt. So that's why I like this. When you said I'm going to tell this, I was going, oh God, yes. So it gives me more information and more validation. So thank you for that one. That is really important for me.
You're welcome. And what I love about the three of us being here together is our connection, actually, all three of us, goes back to Atlantis. And this is I see Atlantis as being the northern part of Egypt and the landmass that broke off between Africa and Europe. There was huge landmass there. When we went to, what's it called? The Canary Islands. That was really interesting because that's remnants, like Malta is, of Atlantis. And they had statues of dogs all over Gran Canaria because of
Anubis. Yeah. I've got to jump in there. Did you just say I was with Chris in Atlantis? No, I can't be with Chris Shearer anymore. I mean, Chris, come on, you stalker, you. You stalker, you. No, honestly,
stalker. Without me.
I bet you were the bossy one then, Chris, weren't you?
Bossy one.
Coming very close. It's gone so quick, Sonja. But you have filled the short time we've had with so much knowledge, information, inspiration, joy, and Chris is better at these words than I am, and I cannot thank you enough. And I do hope in the future, as things change and escalate, that we can in the future, if you have any new things as well, get you back on the show.
I would love
because
that.
as I said in our correspondence, there are many in the UK, for whatever means, do not have access to GAIA, to see yourself and others as well, sharing the collective. And this way it goes out to us norms in the hood. And it just helps open them up, because me and Chris know in all the groups we're in, people are awakening. They're having these experiences, but as you rightly said, there's no teachers, there's no this, there's no, so they don't quite know what do I do. So for that,
the internet.
Thank you.
The
internet.
Can I say one parting thing to your audience? In the 40 years of work that I have been in service. I turn my life over to being in service to Creator, to the Goddess, to the earth. And I live my life every day proclaiming, I am in service. What do you need me to do? Where do you need me to be? Because I know that's the only place I can be in order to do what I'm doing. And the biggest and most important thing we can do in this fifth dimension is to forgive ourselves and to forgive the people that we have issues with. And that means seeing yourself sitting in front of you, looking yourself in the eyes and saying, I love you, I forgive you, please forgive me. Now, forgiveness in all religions is a big thing, but we have gotten disconnected from it, just like we've disconnected from the cycle of life. So you have to feel it. You have to feel it in your body. You have to really feel that you are forgiving yourself. You're forgiving whoever you have issues with. You're sitting them in front of you. I love you. I forgive you. Please forgive me. And make sure you wrap them up in a big cocoon of love from your heart. If you can do this, you will start to address your illness, your disease. You will open up to being able to love more. And the mission statement for us on the planet is to love at the deepest level of our being. So it frees you to be able to love. Thank you for letting me say that.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that,
Thank you.
Sonja. So before we close, I'm just going to give our audience our next week's guest on the show. I've just got my auto cue here. Very posh, aren't I, Chris, with my auto cue? Are you ready? Okay. On next week's show, we have Eric Mitchell. I've been friends with Eric since forever, back in the day. We used to talk late at night, you know, on the phone back in the day. Eric, who was a single dad, raising his children, hardworking man, he had absolutely no belief, wasn't in his reality of UFOs, dimensions, or anything. It wasn't his reality. This all changed after he was physically affected by a UFO encounter. So that is a sighting, a wake sighting, not an abduction sighting. And since that day, Eric has been tracing the truth behind that encounter, and he will explain at every cost. Eric has been very, very quiet about his findings of his experiences until now. And obviously, I know Eric and I bully everyone, so I bullied him onto the show. And he is at present making a documentary about this, so he will come back in a couple of months. So that's Eric Mitchell next week. On that note, Sonja, thank you so much.
Thank you both. Really an honor, such an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks,
so, Chris, here we go. And it literally is. Are you ready? Are you ready, Chris? It's good night from him.
And it's good night from her.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Good night.
Bye. Bye, everybody.